Hey everyone, welcome to the Big Stud Sales Podcast, where I hope to help you nail construction selling. I'm Mike Claudio, owner of WinRate Consulting. I am a construction sales, business development, and leadership coach who focuses specifically on the remodeling industry. And I brought in my marketing expert, Ryan.
Yeah, guys, my name's Ryan Weber, and I am the owner of Ryan Weber Marketing, where we focus on video and digital marketing. We want to help people understand how to get the right message and put it in front of the right person through the crazy digital world.
And we are going to lead you to the business that you're hoping to have. Hey guys, before we get into this episode, I wanted to let you guys know that the School of Construction Selling, my online training course, is ready for you. We put 8 months of effort into this. It's 55 videos with relevant and tactical information that you can implement into your business immediately to make big changes to your sales process, your talk track, your referral generation, all the things you need to do to bring in the types of clients you want for your business. Either shoot me a DM or check the show notes below for a link to the landing page that gives you all the information you need to decide if it's right for you and be able to purchase right there and get access immediately.
Go ahead and start it.
What's up, studs and studettes? Welcome to this week's episode. We're actually going to do a 3-part series this week and the 2 upcoming, so make sure you subscribe so you get alerted when those next ones come up. If you are actually interested, I've been sending...
Did you say 2-part or 3-part?
3-part.
3-part series.
3-part series.
That is correct.
I have been sending out a podcast alert email. If you're interested in getting on that, it has a few more details, a little bit more in depth, and then just an alert that a new episode is out. If you want to DM me your email address, I'll get you added to that list, mike@bigstudsales.com, or just DM me at WinRate Consulting on Instagram, and we'll get you out of that list. But I put a poll in my private Facebook group, Construction Selling, about what people want to learn more about, and business development was by and far the biggest topic that people were asking about. Really, like, I guess, the tactics of going out and finding more of the right clients and the right projects for you. And so over the next, I guess, 3 weeks, this episode and 2 additional, we're going to talk about what I believe is at the root, the baseline, the heart, the core of all things business development. And it's that consumers buy from people they know, like, and trust. So on this episode, we're going to talk about how to get known, both from an in-person perspective, which is my strong suit and my expertise, and then how to do it online is Ryan's best practice, best whatever you want to call it. It's what you do every day.
That's what I do.
But bottom line, guys, if you're not known, if you're not liked, and you're not trusted, your ability to close deals is significantly hindered because you're going up against so many objections before or even after you have those things in place. So those 3 things are incredibly important. So the first part we're going to talk about is getting known. I'll let Ryan kind of kick this one off because I think you have an approach that's more modern, more innovative, and more widely asked about because it's generally takes less time to become known.
And this is
online.
This is kind of what I focus my business. Like, my Ryan Weber Marketing is focused on brand awareness, digital marketing, and it's really 95% brand awareness. I don't bring leads to your door. I bring your name in front of people. And
not directly. You are not a lead gen company.
Nope.
I mean,
don't claim to be, don't want to be. But what I do is I make you more well-known in your area around your target client. And the way you need to do that I've seen beneficial is you need to be seen. The first thing is getting over your fear of your brand name or your face or whatever it is that you're selling to be put in front of eyeballs. Like, I pay for eyeballs. I need more eyeballs. The more people that see me, the more opportunity I have to make sales.
This has been one of the most interesting dichotomies I've dealt with when it comes to video and online content is people are like, well, I don't like the way I look on camera. Dude, you're the one walking into people's houses right now selling them products. Like, they hire you in person.
Like, you look the same on camera.
You are the same person that walks into clients' homes that we're talking about putting in on video or pictures or whatever. And it's like, why is it so different for you? Like, some people are anxious or afraid walking into people's homes when they're early on in their business life cycle, but most people aren't.
But they still do it.
But they do it because they have to. But the same people who are hiring them in person, we're just trying to show that you to more people passively.
Yeah. And
so how do you help people overcome that? Because it's been a mind-boggling approach for me
some of them you can't help.
That's crazy.
I mean, it is what it is. If you personally cannot get over the fact that you look a certain way, that you feel like you should lose 20 pounds before you get up, well, guess what? When you show up to their door, they're going to look at you and not say, oh my gosh, that guy needs to lose 20 pounds. Oh gosh, I'm not buying from him. He's 20 pounds overweight. They don't care, because if they don't know who you are, they're not going to buy from you. So you've got to take those photos. You've got to take videos. You've got to get your brand name in front of people. And so, the easiest way, the number one thing that works on the internet is entertainment. People go on social media to be entertained. That is the number one thing you go on there for. You don't go on your Facebook page or your Instagram page and say, you know what?
I want to be bored out of my mind.
I want to go buy some shit, and I want to learn about, Mike's consulting business. That's really where I want to get educated. Let me go on Instagram and just see. I need to get educated on some consulting. They don't do that. You want to be entertained. And when you're scrolling, and don't, go scroll on social media and start documenting the things that you stop on. It's the entertainment things. It's not the educational things. When we get to our later episodes, we'll talk about why we need to do the educational stuff. Mm-hmm. But right now, we're trying to be known. Well, how can you be known? You be different, you be unique, and you be entertaining. You can do that through photo, video, you can do
audio,
anything.
Yeah.
Like, you need to grab attention.
Well, and the biggest, I don't want to say it's an analogy that I use for this, is anybody who has been using social media on a consistent basis, not every day, but even on a consistent basis, I bet there's somebody on, let's just use Instagram, that you follow, that you feel like if you saw them in public, you would have no problem walking up and saying hi to them, even though they've never met you. Mm-hmm. And that's all I'm trying to do with my clients, you try to do with your clients, is make them known enough. We're going to get into the liked part of this, but get them known enough that people have a comfortability about them and the way they talk and the way they hold themselves and the way they think and the way they make decisions. And part of that is the education we're going to get to. But everybody who uses social media consistently has somebody or a handful of people they follow that if they were to see them in public would think, man, that's my friend. I got to say hi to him.
Example for that. My wife works at a law firm, been here for 30 years. We're down in the basement of a law firm. That's where my studio is. But we're on a pretty prominent road here, and people drive by all the time. And they just had a client come in. They're like, I never knew you guys even were right here. I didn't know anything about you. I've been in Mooresville for 20 years, and I didn't know you guys had a law firm right here. I saw you on social media. I started following your videos because you guys were pretty funny. You've been in this area for 20 years and didn't know they existed. They're a top law firm.
This is not a little building. It's a giant 3 or 4 story building with a green roof.
These guys have been top lawyers in this area for the past 30 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they've been here for 20 years, didn't know that this place or those lawyers even existed until the past year when we started getting on the internet and producing tons of content. I just walked in. Here's another example. My fat ass walked into
You've got to get over this body image issue.
No. This is great. Well, once you hear the story, you're going to be like, okay,
right,
yeah.
Makes sense.
So I walked into the custom cookie place down the road.
Okay, all right.
And it's not like normal cookies. It's like, those
fancy cookies.
Oh yeah, the filled and all that kind of stuff. I walked in there and I was like, hey, it's a new business. Would you like to be on our podcast? We do a podcast. We bring in local business owners, and we love to just talk to them.
What's the name of that one?
Red's Cookie. Oh, that podcast?
No, the podcast.
Welcome Home LKN. It's for a law firm. We literally just talk to local business owners, and we try and highlight them because we want to help their business.
Yep.
So I walked in there. I was like, hey, we want to have you on our podcast. Would you like to be on? She's like, yeah, no problem. I'm like, yeah, it's called Welcome. Oh, I know who you are. I subscribe to your podcast. I know exactly who you are. Oh, well, okay. So she knows me.
Yeah.
I'm walking around trying to buy cookies.
Clearly.
Bought a half dozen.
Well, why would you not?
Well, you get a discount when you do it that way.
So you can't be a proper fat ass if you're not properly buying cookies by the half dozen.
Yeah, it's like, well, I wouldn't have called myself so fat if I would have just bought one, but I was like, well, I'm here. I might as well get 6 of them. Yeah. So That's the known factor. We have a podcast. It's video. She says, "Yeah, I see your face on my YouTube all the time," because I come up because I'm sitting here doing a podcast and we produce it. So just in this little community that we've built here in Mooresville, we now have people that if you walk into a business down the road, they know who we are as me and then the lawyers, because we built that, and it's the known factor.
So I want to dig in a little bit on the known side of this. Okay, so if you're getting into content creation, pictures, videos, what I see, the first step is starting. The second step is being very transparent and vulnerable. Vulnerable is really the key here. And I think a lot of people struggle with the fear of opening up about what makes them unique or what their specific thought processes or likes and dislikes are, because they think it's going to push away good clients or whatever you want to call whoever your target environment is. But it's actually what draws in the right clients. And so many people are like scripted or incredibly unpersonable or not themselves. And I hate to say it, but you might as well not do it than do it that way, because you're putting out, people are they're going to know you because you're doing video, but they're going to know you for the wrong reasons.
Right. You don't want to put out content and you don't want it to be a different person than who you are. They need to know who you actually are. So if you're somebody let's use Mike for an example. You know, we should be doing content around baseball when it's baseball season, because Mike loves baseball and talks about him playing in his adult baseball league. And that's going to resonate with all of you listeners. When you see Mike in a baseball outfit, you're going to say, "Oh, how'd your game go?" Well, now you know who he is and you know what he's about. It gives you a common ground to talk about something. You know, they see Ben, who was one of the attorneys on that podcast, and they say, "How's your plane?" They know he flies because we talk about him flying on the podcast. And it's not a fake person. We've got to be able to tell that authentic, real story of who you actually are.
And part of it is the messaging and the topics and the problems that you're articulating. I posted yesterday about like the days of talking about who you are, what you do, and gaining clients is just, it's going away. I mean, I think it's kind of dead to a perspective, but it's going away. You need to figure out how to align who you are, your uniqueness, with the unique problems that your target market are having. And you physically cannot do that forcing it. And I think one of the best things that I did and what really has helped me open up is this podcast, because it allows me to just be me and it's working. Yeah. And I'm going to use an example. So I'm not going to use their name, but Ryan will know who I'm talking about. But one of our clients that we work with together, I help them with sales and business development. Ryan does their video content. Posted their first video, their first professionally done video last week.
Oh, they finally post one?
And they got 2 leads out of it. Did
they really?
Yep.
So it's already paid for.
It's already paid for.
Oh, and good for them.
This is a company that's been around for over 10 years.
I was going to say 10 years or so.
They average over the last few years between $3 and $4 million.
I'm so proud right now. I'm so proud.
And they finally decided that doing some video of the person who's in front of the clients, like the salesperson, and part of the business of who's dealing with the client specifically, we did some pictures and copy. We did some video content. They finally posted the first video.
And so let me add to it. And I don't even know if you know this. I don't know if I told you. These people, and they might listen, and that's great, because if they're getting business out of it, it doesn't matter now. They called me and they didn't like how it looked. They didn't really like how some of the video looked. And I'm like, you're watching it 30 times in a row and you're nitpicking very small things. And I'm not trying to be mean, but it doesn't matter. Like, you know, oh, we can see a box in the back corner. I'll tell you what, if I'm seeing that video, I've watched it 40 times because I've edited it and I haven't seen that box, but you're going to overanalyze it because it's your first videos. And I was like, you've just got to put it, like, trust me, guys. I'm not going to steer you wrong. I want the best for your business. You just have to post them. And then we can make adjustments from there based on what the audience is telling you. You know, if they're saying, "Man, these videos suck, I can see boxes back there." Well, yeah,
they're not an ideal client.
We dropped the ball on that. Yeah. But they apparently said, "These are great." They spoke to my message, which is more important than certain little things.
Creating a message that matters, man. It's the ultimate part of content creation, because you can, like, the content tree from that perspective is, you know, in this specific video, we really focused on the mission statement of the business and why that impacts the client experience. And people can relate to that. People can relate when they believe you understand their problems. You become more believable. Mm-hmm. And in this case, it was the first video.
That's great. I'm so happy.
He got 2 text messages about, "Hey, yeah,
I didn't realize you did that.
It's one of the most frustrating things to hear as a salesperson when, like, I know this happened to me a lot when I was selling remodels and, man, I forgot you did that. Mm-hmm. Well, the only reason that they forgot is because
they didn't know who you were.
You failed. I failed putting out the content consistently.
They forgot about you. It's the known factor. There's so many things going on in our world.
And it's not intentional. No. They're not intentionally saying, screw Mike.
I forgot what I did yesterday. But if I would have seen a video of what I did yesterday, I would remember what I did yesterday. That's the thing. If you can consistently get your name, face, whatever out in front of people, no matter how, we're only talking digital right now. Mike's going to talk about kind of in-person stuff here in a second. But from a digital standpoint, you go on social media every single day. You go on the internet. You might not go on social media. You go on the internet every single day. So if your name of your company pops up, it doesn't necessarily have to be anything in particular. It just needs to pop up so they see, that's right, those people do exist.
Well, and here's the biggest thing that I think is it's one of the easiest things to overlook. And mostly because a lot of salespeople and business owners are worried about that next sale and what's going to happen next week or next month. But sales is incredibly weighed on timing. Like your ideal client has to have the problem you can solve for you to sell them anything.
Right. And so, yeah, it kind of goes back to what I say I do. I help people get the right message in front of the right person, but most importantly, at the right time.
That was cute.
Nice job, man. Hey, you guys need to watch these videos because we just get a great high five. But yeah, it's at the right time. The buying decision might not be right now. Think about home sellers, people selling their home. Well, that's probably a good time that you should be having your face in front of them. Mm-hmm. But if they didn't know your face back in October, or they did know your face back in October and November and December and January and February and March, when they need to choose a realtor, they're probably choosing you.
They've built the relationship already. Right. And that's the biggest part of being known is if you're not consistent, again, you might as well not do it. Like if you're posting like 6 videos in the next 2 weeks and then nothing for 3 months,
they forgot.
And honestly, if they research you, which clients are incredibly more researched now than they've ever been before, they're going to believe that you're out of business. Mm-hmm. Because they believe the concept or the mindset of a client right now is if you are a functioning, high-performing business that I want to give my money to, they have an expectation level of what your online presence is going to look like. You're going to need an Instagram. You're going to need a Facebook. You're going to need a website. And these don't have to be highly produced. It just needs to be consistent.
Unless you're somebody doing $6-7 million a year, then it needs to or you're working with high-end clients.
Yes.
Then it needs to convey the same professionalism that they expect when they're going to pay you $100,000 for a remodel.
The content does have to match the quality of the work you're representing.
If you're a handyman, then you need to be doing that on your iPhone right now and get after it. Because you need to put out so much content consistently, it doesn't matter what it looks like because you're not charging $17,000 for stuff because you're trying to get the quick transitions. Mm-hmm. But if you're doing these remodels where you're charging $200,000 for it, you need to have a professional out there doing it because why would I want to, if you're not willing to invest in your company to put out good quality content, then why would I invest in you to put out a good quality product for me?
Well, if you're let's just use a round, if you're a $5 million or more in revenue business and you're not willing to commit $4,000 a month to content creation, you're just not taking yourself very seriously. Mm-hmm. Like you're just not taking the environment very seriously. And again, we've talked about if you're not doing video within the next 3 to 5 years, your business is going to die. Mm-hmm. And it's not because you're going to run out of doing a good job. It's because somebody's going to bypass you in the known factor. Because you can be as liked and as trusted, but if that's
the law firm here.
If no one can get to you,
these guys hired me, and it's not because they needed help. They said, I don't want young lawyers that don't know what they're doing come and pass us because they're doing a better job on the internet. It's not that we needed more business. We just don't want to get passed. Well, it turned into a lot more business.
They grew 50% revenue year over year.
They're not going to get passed now.
Millions of dollars more in revenue. And the only thing they did was invest $5,000 a month. Mm-hmm. And they went from several million, and they've added an additional $1.5 million. Mm-hmm. And they spent, let's just use round numbers, $60,000 to do that.
Yeah.
right? 60 to 75 grand, somewhere in that range. Guys, if you're doing $5 million or more and you can't invest 50 grand a year into content creation and delivery, you're just not taking the situation serious enough.
Generally, if you're investing 50 grand, you only need one project and it's going to already pay yourself back and then double.
Shit, look, I'm barely a 6-figure business and I'm spending like 20 grand a year on this.
Yeah.
And it's working.
Yeah. I mean, it's growing your business and known factor. I mean, that's all the known factor. People will see you.
I landed 10 speaking engagements throughout the country and in February or by February, strictly on the known factor.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the in-person stuff. We talked a lot about digital. From an in-person standpoint, maybe you don't want to be on the internet right now, or your business isn't as internet-based and you're starting to get out. What are some things that you can do to develop the known factor in person? So
networking at a high level is the answer to that, but I believe very, very strongly in being tactical with that. If you're in a big high-end market like a Charlotte or even bigger than Charlotte, you can literally network 3 to 4 meals a day, 7 days a week. But it's being very tactical.
Someone always told me never eat alone.
Yeah, I mean that's a great concept. I like it, but it's also I believe in being more tactical than that, right? Like depending on what you're offering, that might make sense. But for some people, it doesn't. Like you don't want to just take a lunch because it becomes unproductive, right? Because there's every financial advisor in town's looking for a lunch right now. But if you're smart about it, I like finding opportunities where there is an expectation of value to be brought. If you've ever been to a BNI or a NARI event or any other of the other kind of more associated networking environments, there's an expectation of showing up, being around, being visible, being credible, and then your profitability will come. There's plenty of others that are just like after hours drinking events. And there's a time and place for that. But if you're a busy business owner and you're saying, I don't have time to do this anyway, try and be more tactical with not only just where, but who's involved with it, and make sure there's an expectation of value to be brought. Because if like BNI is one extreme, BNI is extremely structured and high expectations around you showing up and bringing value to other members of the group, all the way down to like just a normal networking after hours event. But then, so when you get into that environment, to get known, you have to get engaged. And we talk about engagement on social media. What I mean by here is get into the organization and get a part of something. One of the best things I did with the NARI Charlotte chapter last year was get involved with a committee for one of the events. That led to me being a committee chair for one of the events, which led to an event going really well, which now the event's blowing up, which now I'm on the board of NARI. So getting engaged allows you to be seen more. And when you're seen more, you're taken more seriously. Because a lot of networking events, in general, in person, it's like a come and go. It's a revolving door. A lot of turnover, a lot of businesses that don't work out, or people that don't work out, or people that don't have integrity, so they can't stay around for very long. But when you see somebody that's there consistently and they're delivering and they're engaged, take all the messaging out of it. If you just do that, you're going to be known very quickly, because they're seeing you as somebody who's a doer, who's taking action, who's getting involved, who's adding value. One of the best things you can do when getting into a networking event and growing how well you're known and how quickly you're known is how fast and how big of the value you can bring to that environment. And it could be referrals, it could be education, it could be best practices, or whatever it is, figure it out. But one of the best things you can do is bring value, because what happens is the law of reciprocity, and it's real. When you bring somebody value, if they're a good person, which a lot of people are, they feel obligated to give you something back. And now they're thinking of you more often.
So here's a strategy that's from a B2B, from a prospecting referral partner. Yes, do that. And then from another in-person standpoint, to reach those direct clients, you just need your brand name known. If they're not on your vehicles, you drive around all over the place, just put your name on it.
Because, I didn't even think of that. Honestly, that's a great point.
I mean, yard signs, they work still. They're pretty cheap.
If your vehicles are not branded, I don't even think about that, because I just assume it is.
You should never leave your house without your business name on one of your pieces of clothes. Get a hat, get a sweatshirt, get whatever it is, have it on there and make it look cool so someone has to look at it.
No, when I joined New Leaf, the remodeling, the general contractor I worked for when I left corporate America, none of the vehicles or trailers or anything were wrapped. We got one truck and 1 trailer wrapped. And within less than a month, we were getting calls saying, "Man, I see you guys all over the place."
And so here's go for it. Yeah.
So, and it was like, that worked better than I was expecting. And on top of it, and why it works so well is because most of us in the home services industry, you control a very targeted and small geographic area. So you are all over the place in those neighborhoods because you are in the same spots every day.
So I'm going to give you guys something to do. I just thought of this. So here you go. Here's a strategy that will work 100%. You guys that have a very small geographical location, you want to own a neighborhood. Start with this neighborhood and say, this is my target client. I want to own this neighborhood. Every single day, you need to drive around that neighborhood 2 or 3 times in your wrapped vehicle. And then what you need to do, and I would probably suggest it on the weekend, go see who's doing things out in their yard. And then stop and say, hey, sir, would you like any help picking up those sticks or bagging those leaves or doing something? And if you get out of your car.
Next level.
You get out of your car with your branded stuff on. You don't ask for a sale. Just say, hey, no, I've worked this area a lot. I just want to help out this community. That's where I always am. And then leave. You don't ask them for a sale.
Just get known.
And guarantee it. When they need your help, you are going to be the person that they call, and they're going to tell all the other neighbors that you are a great person.
And so the last thing I'm going to talk about, and then we'll get off of this specific.
Yeah, we're a little long on this.
But I think this is the first part of business development is being known. Mm-hmm. I'm actually have kind of come back around to strategically using door hangers. I have a client of mine right now that he sold a product to a homeowner he just was not expecting. He thought it was more of a commercial application, and he realized we found a problem in a specific niche in a specific type of community with a specific type of home that he can sell his highest end product to successfully. So we created a door hanger around that specific problem. And I'll break it down to you. So it's a outdoor retractable awning and shade company. And what he sold it to were people who live on golf courses because those people can't use their outdoor space because they're afraid of getting hit with golf balls. So I helped him create a door hanger that was like, are you tired of dealing with bad golfers and not being able to use your outdoor space because of the fear of getting hit? Well, this retractable option allows you to be protected when you want it and not when it goes basically is unseen when you don't want it. And he hung 40 of those. And I mean, results to be seen, but I like that better than just like canvassing large areas. But it's like, hey, are you like your neighbor who just did this? Maybe you can too.
I always say, like, first, we talked about this earlier. Start small, find that one neighborhood you want to own, and just own that neighborhood. I mean, real estate agents, if you sold the houses in every single neighborhood, you wouldn't be beneficial. But if you just owned one neighborhood and it's like, oh yeah, I sell like 70% of the houses in here, there's plenty of turnover. You're going to be just fine. Just fine. Mm-hmm. Well, guys, that was the first step or stage in the business development that we're going to get into, obviously, in future episodes. But these next few are specifically around what we believe is the core of business development. It's being known, liked, and trusted. So tune in next week for the liked. Learn how to get liked. Learn how to get liked. Thank you for listening. My goal is to take the guesswork out of how to properly sell within the construction industry. Once you nail this part of the process and get your sales and business development clicking, it makes everything about the job that much easier. If you have any specific scenarios or questions you want answered, shoot me an email, mike@bigstudsales.com, and follow me on Instagram at WinRate Consulting. Remember, win fast and win often.